August 22nd, 2018. I'm Mike Bonham, the chair, along with Neri Martinez and Paul Koretz, my colleagues, issuing the only warning that Mr. Herman is going to get, any disruption, and you're out of here immediately, and welcoming the rest of you here to the committee meeting. Let us start with item number 1, which is the General Manager's report.
Thanks, Councilmember Bonin. So as we do during at least one of the Transportation Committee meetings every month, we want to recognize some outstanding performers from LADOT. First, I'm going to start with our parking enforcement and traffic control officers. So please stand when I say your name. First, Traffic Officer 2, Sharon Coleman. Began her career at LADOT in July of 1988 and has spent her entire career in the Western Parking Enforcement area, your backyard, council member. She has been an integral member of various assignments throughout her 30 years with the office. She's a team leader and provided disaster preparedness training to other officers. As a senior officer in the Western area, her fellow officers and supervisors value her vast knowledge and superior work skills. Sharon is looking forward to continuing her career with LADOT as she plans to participate in the upcoming promotional process. Sharon is being recognized for her outstanding service contributions to the citizens and visitors of LA. She has performed traffic control duties in an exemplary fashion and is among the leaders in hours performed on this task. Next up, Traffic Officer Anthony Harris. Anthony Harris began his career with LADOT in September of 2005. He has also been assigned to the Western Parking Enforcement Area Office for his entire career. Anthony is currently working the night shift, and because of this assignment, he has learned all the aspects of a traffic officer's work duties. He is assigned a team leader in the absence of a supervisor, attends community meetings, no small task, and works very closely with other agencies to make LA a better place to live and work. Citizens and his peers look to Officer Harris for his expertise and guidance. He is well respected by the community, his supervisor, and fellow officers. Officer Harris is being recognized for his outstanding service contributions to the citizens of LA. He has performed traffic control duties in exemplary fashion, among the leaders in hours performed on this task. And next up, Traffic Officer 2, Maurice Nicholson. Officer Maurice Nicholson has been with LADOT as a traffic officer since October 2008. Officer Nicholson patrols and provides traffic control services to one of our busiest regions in the Hollywood community. He has demonstrated a willingness to perform all duties assigned to him in a professional and exemplary manner. Maurice has further demonstrated a sincere commitment to achieving several departmental goals as well as providing public safety-related services to the community. Maurice has earned a great deal of respect from his peers and supervisors by demonstrating a positive attitude and a commitment to his duties each and every day. Maurice is being recognized for his outstanding service contributions. He is among the top leaders performed on traffic control. So we want to commend all the officers for their professionalism, dedication, and sense of duty to the citizens of LA. Thank you. And now, we're from the Parking Permits Division and Mobility Management. I want to acknowledge the outstanding management analyst, the team we're recognizing today. Management Analyst Michelle Caton, Management Analyst Gary Hoggett, Management Analyst Dorothy Tate, Management Analyst Aaron Thompson, and Management Analyst Felix Baldi. Please stand. This team works on something that I know is near and dear to all of your hearts. This is the Parking Permits Division that implements permit parking programs and conducts transportation studies and analysis to determine the best solutions to manage parking throughout the city. The division receives numerous requests from council districts, neighborhood councils, and individuals within the community to establish permit parking districts. The management analysts who serve as project managers assess the justification of requests, coordinate meetings with council offices, neighborhood councils, and residents, prepare the reports, and make all recommendations. In January 2017, the division was experiencing a huge backlog of more than 300 requests, with processing time for PPDs taking more than 2 years. As a result of proper staffing, streamlining the process, and better organization, the backlog has been reduced to under 50 cases, and the processing time has been cut in half to 1 year. In September 2018, the division will roll out an automated tracking system to result in more improvements and even shorter permit processing time. The work in the parking permits division is complex and demanding, but we are fortunate to have staff who are knowledgeable and passionate about their jobs and perform at a high level. Thank you all for your service. And last but not least, just because he's here and because we had an announcement this week that our Chief of Parking Enforcement Traffic Control, Brian Hale, is retiring.
Whoa.
Please stand, Chief Hale. I just want to say about Chief Hale that sometimes we are defined not by the things that we planned for, but by the things that we did not. As you all know, the department lost an officer in the line of duty, and over the summer we have had 3 officers hit by cars while directing traffic and performing their duties around the city. Chief Hale stood up, made sure that the city paid their respects, and was just an exceptional leader during an incredibly difficult time. I'm honored and grateful to have been on his team, to have learned from him, and we will miss him greatly. Thank you for your service, Chief. I know, right?
Way too young.
Not there.
Thank you to the General Manager. Congratulations to everybody for the recognition. Particular congratulations on the retirement. You're welcome to come back anytime. We don't have a drop program for DOT though. Sorry.
No comment.
The LA Times.
Colleagues, any questions to the General Manager? Okay, so I am going to hold this item on the desk for a second, so that, because there are someone who's filled out a public comment card on this, but I wanted to give the city employees the opportunity to be here for their recognition without having to be subjected to the vitriol and nonsense that is about to come. So thank you for being here, and I would leave if I were you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thought you could get away without that. Come on.
Okay, so with apologies to those of you who need to remain for further items, I'm going to go to those with multiple public comment cards. Mr. Herman, you have 2 minutes for the various items you filled out and a minute for general public comment on matters pertaining to the jurisdiction of the Transportation Committee. You can come on up.
The people of Los Angeles do not yield their sovereignty to the agencies of LADOT. No state of mobility for pedestrians and cyclists and scooter vehicles within the city of Los Angeles. Fuck you. The right to decide what is good for the people, I decide. These true stakeholder, the legislative executive, Armando Herman. What is not good for them to know that I do not approve of Eric Eisenberg nor Mr. John L.Y. Lee. Then I go into the other items. That of item 8, for example. Fuck you, Herman, Jason Wesson, and Justin. The parking of vehicles that are 22 feet in length, not to exceed 7 feet height. What's your fucking problem, you racist son of a bitch? You can't even pay for your own wedding. Then you go to item 10, local agency 54951 point. Fuck you, Silvertongue cop. State Route 213 between West 182nd Street and West Paseo Del Mar. The ghetto, nigger. Then you go to item 13. What is good for the local agency? Fuck Weezer, including his expansion of bike share, car share. Fuck all your transportation niggers. fix the infrastructure so that I can have mobility on the sidewalk without having my fucking black kid falling over my feet. Item 15, you, Mr. Weezer and Dawson, Metropolitan Transport Authority, Metro, fuck the mayor on Metro, because the mayor has failed on the projects of construction to expedite the manner. So, as you heard earlier from my advocating, I allege that the meeting's transcript shows that council members devised an official plan to intimidate and retaliate against me, as you heard Mr. Bonin, for the record, state that I am a member of the public, and that many are subsequent disputes with the city officials and employees that are part in the city's retaliation plan against me, Mr. Spindler, Michael Hunt, John Walsh, and any other fucking human being who's here in opposition and First Amendment protection of free speech. Under 42 U.S.C. 1983, we're alleging a number of incidents that under theory of violation, the Brown Act, and discrimination. Sergeant of Arms, this means you, fucking Duarte. Free speech, stop suppressing free speech. You exploit to arrest with your power, fuck you, a miscus.
Thank you, Mr. Herman.
Hooray.
Up.
Thank you, Bonin.
To the members of the public who are here for the first time, I have to say this at every meeting, our apologies for what you've had to listen to and what you've been subjected to. The courts have determined that part of our adherence to the Brown Act and to the First Amendment is to tolerate that here in our chambers, that which the courts would not tolerate in their own. So that is unfortunately a regular function of our committees and our council, and we apologize to you for that. Mr. City Attorney, I'm not actually joking on this one. Movie theaters offer 3D glasses. Would it be possible for us to have a bucket at committee meetings offering earplugs? We have to listen to it, but there's no reason that the audience does.
Mike.
Oh, well, I'm going to start bringing some.
As long as people are allowed to come up and speak at public hearing, if they would decide they want to use earplugs while they're sitting in the audience, that's certainly their right.
I may buy some for the audience. There are a number of other people who have multiple speaker cards. I don't know that they actually exist. Someone impersonating our city attorney, Streffen. I assume that is the person who just spoke. Is there actually a Belita Drags? Didn't think so. Is there somebody named Moore? Or Claudia Huerta? Okay, then that concludes general public comment. And we will now consider our consent items. And first of all, I'd like to officially approve item 1, which was the General Manager's report. And then ask for, see if there's any actual real people here for these items. Is there an Arlen Valdivia here? Okay, all right, I'll call that item in a second. I just want to make sure I don't call that special. So you're here on 2 items?
Yes.
Okay, then come on up. I'll give you multiple comment. You're here on 13 and 14, yes?
Yes.
Yeah. Please go ahead. She
Good
gets
afternoon.
2 minutes.
Yep. Good afternoon, Chairman Bonin and members of the committee. My name is Arlen Valdivian. I am here on behalf of the Motion Picture Association and our member companies. As you know, the Arts District is a very popular filming location, and we appreciate the preliminary discussions we have had with Councilmember Weezer's office on this item in an effort to ensure that filming needs are considered along with other stakeholder concerns as the mobility strategy moves forward. We look forward to continuing to work with Councilmember Weezer, the committee, and the Department of Transportation on this item. And then for 14, As the Department of Transportation explores the feasibility of a pilot loading zone program, we would ask that the film community be included as part of any stakeholder discussions. As you know, with the loss of surface lots in downtown, film production parking has never been more challenging. We look forward to working with Councilmember Weezer, the committee, and the Department of Transportation to ensure that this pilot program be compatible with filming as possible in order to avoid any potential negative impacts to residents and businesses downtown. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so colleagues, I would recommend we approve on consent items 4 through 9 and 11 through 14. Any objection? Okay, it's a unanimous direction of the committee. Okay, and that brings us to item number 2.
Item number 2 is a communication from the mayor relative to the reappointment of Mr. Eric Eisenberg to the Board of Transportation Commissioners for the new term ending June 30th, 2023.
Mr. Eisenberg here. Okay, we'll hold that item for the time being. Let's go to item number 3.
Item number 3 is a communication from the mayor relative to the reappointment of Mr. John Lai to the Board of Transportation Commissioners for the new term ending June 30th, 2023.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Yeah. Would you like to say anything?
I want to say thank you for having me, and I have, for those of you guys who don't know me, I've been on the commission now for, I believe, about 5 years, and it's been an honor to serve, DOT in the city, and I've been, privileged to be working with folks all along the line at DOT and providing the oversight and also learning a lot about the department. I'm now president of the commission.
Congratulations.
And I would, unless you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them. But I would love to have your support in your asking for a reappointment until the term ends in 2023.
So as now that you're president, what would you like to focus on?
I'd like to focus, I think, on 3 areas. I think one of the things that we've seen a lot is retirements. And so I think that the commission is especially poised to make an effort in recruiting both candidates for areas in which we're seeing a lot of retirements, and also recruiting for the future too, in terms of creating a DOT that's ready for the future and a city that's ready for the future. And that means engineers and data specialists, folks who can sort of usher this department and continue it on a path so that we can develop a city that's ready. And I think that the commissioners have a special expertise in this. We've got a professor at USC, Dr. Tejada, who I think is specially poised and has skills that could do well in recruiting. And I think that's one of the areas I'd like to explore. I think number 2 is I think that the commission is also, I think, really good at and can work on specialty projects, on taking the load off of the city council in terms, whether that's, preferential parking districts, whether it's tackling homelessness. These are items that we're specially equipped to do, and I think we're more than happy to take on any additional work, and we're looking for work. And I think the third thing that I think the commission could do is focus on long-term projects into the future. And, I think that the area of, tech and gender equity and racial equity in terms of transportation are items that we can take on. And I think that would be beneficial, I think, to the commission and to the city council if they would have us, if that would be helpful. But those are, I think, the 3 areas that I'd like to steer and focus the commission's efforts, in addition to the day-to-day work of obviously dealing with appeals from ambulance companies and dealing with audits, dealing with preferential parking districts, and anything that comes before it that we see. But those are the 3 sort of long-term projects that I'd like to focus the commission on.
Okay, thank you. Colleagues, any questions? Okay, so without objection, the recommendation to the council is to approve your reappointment. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to item number 10.
Item number 10 is a Buscayano-Englander motion requesting the city attorney to prepare an ordinance to prohibit the parking of vehicles with for sale signs on the east side of Southwestern Avenue between West 182nd Street and West Paseo Del Mar.
Good afternoon, Councilmember Bond and honorable committee members. My name is Ryan Ferguson. I am Councilman Joe Buscaino's San Pedro Field Deputy. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak on this item before you today. And what I've provided are a number of photographs, which is just a sampling of the issue that we are facing along Western Avenue in San Pedro and throughout the district on the east side of the street, which is within City of Los Angeles limits. Also, as part of the record, our former commanding officer of Harbor Division, Captain Michael Oreb, has submitted a letter in support of this motion and for this ordinance, in addition to working with Caltrans to get the signs installed prohibiting vehicles for sale along Western Avenue. And they've indicated that once the city passes an ordinance to prohibit this, that they will be on board as well, and then we can have the Department of Transportation install the signage. I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
And the LAPD letter that has been attached to the council file articulates concerns related to public safety and blight. Just want to note that for the record, Mr. Secretary. All right, any questions?
No, this looks like an informal version of Cerritos Auto Square, except on Western Avenue. Obviously, having auto sales monopolize the street, not a good thing. So
Exactly.
these pictures are enough to sell me for sure.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay, so we'll give that a unanimous recommendation for approval. Thank you very much.
Thank you, council members.
You're welcome. Good to see you back at City Hall.
You too.
Brings us,
You know, I believe this is the motion regarding where we need to clarify that it is within the city of Los Angeles. Is this the,
It's contained in the body of the motion, and if there are any issues, we'll address that before the ordinance comes back.
okay,
it's a state highway? That's
very good, okay. That brings us to item number 15.
Item number 15 is a Harris-Dawson-Weezer-Rube motion directing Department of Public Works and LADOT to report relative to refining the city's master cooperative agreement with Metro to ensure that Metro projects are constructed in an expedited manner and ensuring that affected communities are treated fairly and equitably.
Hello. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Judy Wong. I'm a senior transportation engineer with LADOT.
Could you bring the mic a little closer, please? Thank you.
I'm Larry Hsu. I'm the division manager of the Metro Transit Division within BOE, and I can answer questions about the peak hour exemption, holiday construction moratorium, or the master cooperative agreement.
Could you bring the mic a little closer, too?
Sure. Is that better?
Yeah. So what are you asking us to do today?
Well, the current MCA provides us the flexibility to deliver Metro projects successfully in coordination with various city departments and in partnership with LA Metro. Nothing in the current MCA precludes improvements to the current work process and procedures. So with ED19, under the leadership of the Mayor's Office, we are committed to foster a positive working relationship with Metro, to make continuous improvement, and to deliver Metro projects successfully.
All right. Thanks, Judy. Yes, BOE also has the same view of the current MCA. I think I'll comment on the peak hour exemption and the holiday construction moratorium portions of the motion before you. Both of those processes currently, in BOE's procedures, currently have council vetting. Peak hour exemptions require a council concurrence as part of the application, and likewise, holiday construction moratoriums also require that. So I just wanted to address that point of the motion.
Okay. Colleagues, any questions?
Yeah. So can you tell me what the current process is in requesting an exemption? Who authorizes it?
The holiday construction moratorium exemption or the peak hour exemption? They're
Both.
Okay. The peak hour exemption is covered under Municipal Code 6261. It's delegated to a city engineer or the Bureau of Street Services, depending on what type of permit it is. Street use permits are under the authority of Bureau of Street Services. Construction permits, that is peak, construction during peak hours are under the authority of BOE.
Okay. And how many projects how many metro projects have actually gone through this existing master cooperation agreement process? Do we have a number?
I don't have a number. I would say dozens. The current version of the master cooperative agreement dates to 2002, and
the agreement goes back to 2002?
That's correct.
Okay, but we don't have a number of how many actual exemptions have been granted under this this existing agreement?
I did a count recently, and last year I think we did about 70.
70
for metro
exemptions?
projects. That's correct.
Okay. And how long does it, my last question, Mr. Chair, is how long does it approximately take to actually grant an exemption? What's the typical wait period look like?
Our average turnaround time is about 2 days. However, it does take quite a bit of time to meet the requirements before they could submit the request itself. It requires a DOT approved plan, and of course outreach to the council office, and may take time to secure that concurrence.
And that all happens within 2 days?
No.
That really
that
hard to
happens
believe.
before.
More like 2 months or maybe 2 years, but I don't think it's 2 days.
I don't know the timeline up to that
Okay.
point. Some
Okay.
of these traffic.
And roughly
plans-
about 70 have been granted under the existing agreement. That's what you just said?
70 in the past year.
Oh, a year, okay. All right.
And one of the things, of course, we want to be sensitive to is not slowing down voter-approved projects. I know from sitting in my other seat over at Metro that LA tends to be one of the, or has historically been one of the slower, more annoying municipal partners for Metro, and we've been working hard to fix that. So basically, you guys are saying that we're good with the current MCA and we don't need to update it.
That's correct. I
That's
think there's enough flexibility in the current MCA to make adjustments and improvements, and really it's just improving our partnership with Metro.
Cool. Okay. And I'm happy to help with that. Mr. Kretz.
Well, I have to assume that council members that put this motion forward have not experienced that same thing. So while I don't think our district has had that great a difficulty, we've had issues and we've managed to work them out with Metro, but where other council members have had the difficulty, I'm certainly happy to support their desire to have a motion and nail it down through this process.
I'm going to recommend we continue it and get a little bit more detail on what you were, about what the potential for the slowdown with Metro is, so we can weigh that cost and benefit with the impacted offices.
Okay.
So unless there's an objection, we'll continue it from today. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
And that brings us to item 16.
Item 16 is a DOT report relative to the project selection methodology and authority to submit grant applications to Caltrans to compete in the State of California's 2018 Highway Safety Improvement Program Cycle 9 Call for Projects Grant Award Process.
Good afternoon, council members. My name is Carlos Rios, Capital Projects of the LA DOT. The report you have before you is seeking the approval for DOT's project selection and prioritization methodology for selecting projects that are going to compete in California's Highway Safety Improvement Cycle 9. And in addition to the report before you, I just passed out we included in the report a list of the projects that we were going to be submitting funding applications for, with the application deadline being next week. So I'm here to take any questions that you may have with the process or with the list of projects.
Yeah, I do have a few questions. So the status report indicates that the department may focus on the high injury network corridor that received temporary short-term improvements. Can you tell me where these are located? Is it the list you just provided, or do you have a different list?
The list that was provided, or the list of the corridors that we are going to be seeking HSIP funding for, but there's a broader list of corridors where we actually did intersection tightening.
You don't have that list with you?
At the moment, I do not have that list. I can provide it, but I do not have it.
Were they initially part of the initial Tier 1 of the high injury network improvements? Or are they different areas of the high injury network corridors?
They were part of the original 40 corridors that were identified.
So Tier 1?
Yes.
Okay. So we've got those covered?
Yes.
So since I don't have a project list that was submitted, I just want to figure out if you're focusing on the Vision Zero. I just want to make sure, you just said that you did. Just want to make sure that the Vision Zero 40 high injury network improvements are the absolute focus of this. You're all nodding your heads for the record.
Yes.
Just because Vision Zero seems to just always, it just depends on the weather, whether people want to support it or not, or actually fund it. So that's why I'm asking.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm not going to mince words about Vision Zero.
You would never about anything.
And then my last question. Oh, you know you love me. And the last question I have, is there a ranking within the 40 high injury network corridors? Do you rank them based on the need, and can I have that ranking?
Yes, we can provide that.
Yeah.
I don't have it handy now.
You have it.
But
I'd like to see them ranked to ensure that we're getting to the neediest within the 40 projects.
Yes. So,
Jen's just like smiling.
so what we did for
You love it? Okay. She loves
For clarification on this particular grant has a maximum cap that the city can apply for, can get granted for of $10 million. So what we did is based on the original ranking of the top 40 priority corridors, we compared those corridors with the criteria that the state has identified for project selection.
No, I understand. I just want to, I want to know if the 40 corridors have been prioritized. Within the 40, have you prioritized the
Yes.
most dangerous corridors? That's
Dan
what I
Mitchell, Assistant General Manager with LADOT. Yes, so we used that 40 list, and we ran it through the calculator that the state uses to rank, and these two were the highest ranking projects, and that exhausted the
So the
$10 million
list
cap.
is the one you submitted right now?
Yes, the $10 million cap that we are allowed to apply for. Unfortunately, we hadn't completed that ranking at the time we submitted the report, which is why we're asking to amend the report with this with these selected projects.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Correct. Okay, so the recommendation from the department is to amend with the attachment you've provided and approve. So that's the unanimous recommendation of the committee.
Well, excuse me, Mr. Chair, I think also recommendation 1, just to strike the HSIP Cycle 9 so they can use this methodology going forward for future cycles.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate that. So with that amendment. And that leaves the only item on the agenda would be item number 2, which is Mr. Eisenberg. Is he here?
Was he asked to come in? Are you Mr. Eisenberg?
I'm not, but I did get on the phone with him, and apparently there's been an emergency. He's down in San Pedro. He would request that, to the extent that you have any questions, that you continue the hearing possibly until the next month so that he can appear and seek your recommendation.
Happy to do so.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So we'll continue that until the next. Yeah, actually, hold on a second.
Sure.
John.
I think we should just let him move forward to
Okay.
council. Why delay him another month?
I would recommend his. That's just me.
Well, he's obviously interested in the position, correct?
Would love
So I think we should just.
It's his reappointment. He's served.
I think he's just trying to be polite, but we should just let it be
Just-
heard in
let's
council.
move him to council.
We'll unanimously recommend his reappointment.
Thank you.
So approved?
Yes.
I'll
Yeah.
deliver the-
You can tell him you delivered that for him. Okay, that concludes today's meeting. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Perfect.